You are watching a master at work.
The kid's back!
Over a decade ago, my father told me in New York City, it will be only two groups of people soon enough. It's going to be the wealthy, and it's going to be the poor. This was a decade ago. I thought my part was crazy. Like, what you talking about? You can't get rid of middle class. It's always going to be the people who drive the buses and the people who do sanitation and it's the police officers. But now I see. Middle class is being suffocated out of New York City. It is being snuffed out of New York City. They are doing everything in every corner to take, rip, snatch, pilfer. They are wilding on our pockets here in New York City. And, they won't stop because we keep letting them. We never gonna stand up to them. We get together in masses to scream, shout, complain, cry, and then we get back to work and make them the money that they told us to give them in the first place. Y'all check this out, bro. Because I, for one, I'm sick of it.
Guidelines Board held its final vote on rent hikes for more than 1 million stabilized apartments.
Neither tenants nor landlords were entirely happy with the outcome. Briella Tomasetti in Jackson Heights, Queens. What's going on this morning, Briella?
Yeah, Rosanna and Bianca, not a situation really anybody wanted, but we saw the results and that is what happened. We'll get to those numbers shortly. This is going to impact so many people, not only here in Queens, but across all of the boroughs. The meetings leading up to last night's decision were often tense and chaotic. At one meeting last month, the board had to take a recess after protesters stormed the stage. Tenants wanted a rent rollback. Well, instead, they got just the opposite.
And I vote yes. The motion passes by a vote of 5-4.
Well, it's official. Millions of New Yorkers living in rent-stabilized apartments will have to dish out more money each month after the Rent Guidelines Board pushed through controversial increases in a 5-4 vote. But you could barely hear the outcome of that vote.
5-4 vote. 5-4 vote. We should have those names of those people, their occupations. That's the problem, yo. We let people like this just dictate our lives and go back to living their good old lives however they living it. 5-4 vote.
Over the voices of disgruntled tenants. Chanting, blowing whistles, and banging cowbells in the audience.
They don't care about human rights. They don't care. They think they're talking to dogs, trees, and rubbish. They're not concerned about us.
In the end, the board voted to raise rents on one-year leases by 3%. On two-year leases, rents will go up by 2.75% in the first year and 3.2% in the second year, which averages out to a 4.4% increase over the course of 2 years. Mayor Adams issued this statement following the vote. I want to thank the members of the Rent Guidelines Board for their critically important and extremely difficult work protecting tenants from unsustainable rent increases.
Yo, this is crazy. 3% for 1 year. And if you do a 2 year, it's an average about 4-point-something%. These are hikes on rent stabilized apartments for over 1 million apartments throughout the city, which helps what? To further aid gentrification, right? It only helps to further push out the poor. push out the broke. It's more than just race. It's classism. They telling you, if you ain't got no money, get your broke ass out of here. That's what they telling you. That's what they telling you. They sitting there looking at the people marching and screaming up and jumping up and down. Like, man, get your paw, go move around. New York City ain't for you no more. New York City ain't for you no more. Between the increase, now the MTA, they voting today. Today they voting because the MTA wants to increase from 250 to 290 for buses and trains. Like, people ain't dying on the subways. Like, people, like, it's safe to be on the subways. They want more money from you. With all the subway attacks going on, cost of home ownership, congestion prices, they don't want you to drive through the city no more. And now MTA is like, oh, that means we're going to get more people coming in? We need more money. And why are they giving you no more money? Why should we give them more money? Are we safe? Are we safe? Somebody else just had to. I'm not gonna say had to. That's still to be proven by in the court of law. But somebody else just killed somebody on the train. The man accused in a deadly Brooklyn subway stabbing that he claims was done in self-defense has been released without bail just 2 days after he allegedly killed a man who witnesses said had been harassing passengers. Don't this sound familiar? Jordan Williams was arrested and charged with manslaughter, but was free without bail Thursday afternoon. He was seen leaving Kings County Criminal Court in street clothes and without handcuffs. Now, he's 20 years old. The violent incident broke out just after 8 p.m. on Tuesday after police responded to a 911 call of a man stabbed while aboard the train. When officers got to the train station, they found a 36-year-old man who had been stabbed in the chest. The victim, Quadrago, was rushed to New York Presbyterian Brooklyn Methodist Hospital, where he was pronounced dead less than 24 hours later. The 20-year-old Williams had been arrested and charged with manslaughter and weapons possession. Now, I saw this young man on the news today. He's well-spoken. He seems very remorseful. He also stated that the reason why he was carrying a knife is because not long before, a couple weeks previously, somebody pulled out a knife on him on the train and stuck the knife in his face, pointed it in his face. They ain't sticking in his face. They pointed the knife in his face, and that's what made him then feel like he needed to start walking around with some type of protection on these trains, which makes sense. It's not a crazy idea, but at the same time, it's like, y'all asking for more money from us, but we not safe. We're not safe. So it's like, how much can they just continue to take and take? And that's why a lot of people are leaving, because it's just dangerous, and it's getting ridiculous in terms of affording stuff. Property, besides property that you get for the amount of money that you pay, it's crazy. It really is.
So in a scenario, many subway riders fear. You're on a train and a passenger starts acting erratically. What would you do? Well, last week, our next guest says a man started harassing passengers physically and verbally. This was right aboard the J train in Williamsburg.
Now, Jordan Williams is charged with manslaughter. This morning, he's speaking out for the first time on television. He's here on Good Day New York this morning with his attorney, Jason Goldman. Nice to have you both here.
In having to take the subway often, did you have a fear like this? Was this something you've always carried going to the subway?
Honestly, living in the city, I always found it to be sort of liberating in a way. I mean, I don't feel the same constraints that everyone else feels. I mean, there's definitely things going on that you always have to be aware about. But like I was saying before, I just try to stay optimistic about things, and I don't really try to dwell on the negative or focus my energy on it. But yes, I was always aware that there were things going on and that I needed to keep my head up.
How did you keep your head up in terms of riding the subway? Because I feel like I take the subway often, and I'm always looking out. My head's on a swivel. Like if something bad's going to happen to me. Is that how you felt?
Yes, honestly, I was just keeping my eyes up, and then I don't know if you're asking me about the specific day, but about that day specifically, I definitely, I did my usual scan every time we get to a stop, and then I saw them get on the train, you know.
But is that why you feel like maybe you have to kind of protect yourself in a way that somebody comes at you, you have to be prepared, and maybe that looks differently for every person, but maybe that's someone carrying pepper spray or someone carrying a knife?
Yes, well, honestly, this actually hasn't come out yet, but a few weeks ago, before this incident, there was a woman who actually put a knife right into my eye, so she literally had her inches from me. Yes, so that honestly is what scared me into starting to carry. And
I was wondering why you were carrying a knife.
Yes.
And it was because of that particular. So what happened with that woman, and what did you do?
Well, she had actually approached me. Similarly, I was sitting in priority seating and with my friend at the time, and she came up to us because literally I just looked across at her when she got on the train. And then she just started getting upset, going on a rant.
See, that's where he messed up. Rule number one, when you live in New York City, you can't make eye contact on the train, especially with crazy niggas. Like a crazy nigga, making eye contact to them is like, remember back in the day when somebody would slap somebody and be like, I challenge you to a duel. Like, that's how it is when you look at a crazy nigga in his eyes on the train. You asking for trouble.
Talking about she was going to attack me and the person I was with, and then that's when I just sat there like, you know, because sarcastically I laughed, and then she just jumped up randomly and then boom, knocked the hat off my head, and then had the knife right there in front of my eye. So I was like, in that situation, I didn't know what to do, so I just sat there because I say anything else stupid, she might go all the way. So then I'm just sitting there, and then she didn't do anything, so I just ended up getting my bag, and I got off the train quickly at the next stop. I think it was Essex Street. But yeah, same. I got on that Broad Street, same thing. I was on my way to Queens via J-Train, so.
So how scared were you that day when you're, you know, now you're charged with manslaughter? What was going through your mind when this man was near you and your girlfriend?
Honestly, I was afraid because I didn't know what was gonna happen because he was closer to her than to me. So I was honestly just trying to get me and her out of there safely. I didn't know what to do. It was all quick, and I regret it every day. I wish it didn't have to go like that, honestly. Like, all I wanted to do was just get me and my girlfriend off the train safe. I wasn't looking to hurt anyone. It was nothing malicious on my part. And when I found out, I literally couldn't believe that he had actually passed away.
Yeah. So, how are you dealing with that?
It's not easy because, I mean, knowing that I was able to take a life from someone, especially someone of my own descent, you know what I mean? So it's not something that I'm proud of. I haven't had the best time sleeping or managing with that actual idea. I try not to think too much specifically about that part of it, but yeah, it's not easy when I sit there and I try to think about it.
Jordan, I think you're...
Man, peace be to that young brother, man. People talk about mental health and people talk about trauma. Imagine that trauma that he just went through a couple weeks ago on the same train line, during the same stops, and what he felt was in another encounter, but this time with a male. He wasn't taking no chances. But we shouldn't have to be our own security when they're taking money continually from us, but leaving us to fend for ourselves. Eventually, New Yorkers need to stand up and fight back. Will we? No. Should we? Of course. But everything is going up. Everything is going up. Everything is going up. people who are trying to get a rollback. Ha! 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 Y'all want them to say, yeah, give us less money? Shee. They blame everything. It's the whole system. It's the whole system. They're gonna say, oh, it's the insurance people. Then they're gonna say I gotta do certain. It's the state. It's the city. I gotta be in compliance. I gotta do certain upgrades, and it's gonna cost me this. And yo, all I gotta say is that they don't really care about us. That's what Mike said, right? It is what it is, man. It is.
Драпа сидить.